Dick's Mill in Cotton, Missouri. We were invited by Bob Painter to come out and take pictures and do a little video of Dick's Mill as it's fixing to be taken down and taken apart and relocated in order to preserve and save it. I'd like to personally thank Bob and his wife. They were such gracious hosts with their time and allowing us to come out on a Sunday and do all this and see all this with this amazing and historic mill. It's a very special mill. These mills are disappearing quickly. This is the northernmost mill in the Ozarks. Without further ado, let's go ahead and let's let Bob Painter tell the story of the mill.
Speaker. In fact, I used to, well, when I was a kid, when I got, I think about 14, I was old enough, I guess, I put my foot down and refused to go to church anymore because the church was making all the young kids had to get up and do a part of the service every Sunday. And I would get sick at my stomach. I was just terrified and fought that all my life. I still have stage fright. I'm scared to death playing the instrument, playing music. I play a lot at home, but I'm scared to be in front of people.
Well, you're a great speaker.
But I've learned how to, this is so dear to me. It's such a passion that it's helped me overcome my fear of speaking. I've got actually a speaking engagement next weekend over near Kingdom City. I've had one at a college here locally a while back, and yeah, it amazes me. It's amazing. Do you do videos, I guess? Or?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, and what I was saying is that, this mill having a set of 48-inch stones and 42s is rather unheard of in this part of the country, or even down south. That was big business to have those size stones. And then in 1891, he took out the 48s and he put in 2 new roller mills. And so he was running a pretty big business down here, and from what I've read of him, he was quite the entrepreneur anyway. But I like to tell people that this is the most northernmost mill in the Ozarks left. You're actually standing in the Ozarks right here. If you look at the DNR or the government maps, the Ozarks come up and there's this little tiny finger that goes right up through Cooper County to the Missouri River, and Dick's Mill's right in the middle of that. So I had a guy here a while back on the Missouri Backroads page. It's been about a year and a half ago. Somebody, it wasn't me, put a picture of Dick's Mill on, and this guy come back, got hateful and said, oh, this is for the Ozarks only, and Cooper County's not in the Ozarks. He got pretty snotty about it, and at the time I said, hey, and I didn't know about the map, but I said, I kind of come back when I saw he was being snotty, and I said,
Missouri is part of the Ozarks.
I said, well, you know what, I said, to me, the Ozarks is more an attitude than a place, and shut him up, but then it turns out that it is in the Ozarks, and Richard McGee is putting out a book. He's from West Plains, and he's doing a new book on mills of the Ozarks. And he come up and has done a story and pictures of Dick's Mill. So it will be in his book that's coming out in the spring.
Oh, nice.
So, but, I don't know. You guys have probably noticed there's more mills in the Ozarks,
Oh, Missouri, there's a lot. We've hit almost all of them.
Right. And, and it took a while to figure out what had happened because all our mills we had 32 mills in Cooper County at one time back years ago, and they're all gone except this one. Not hardly a trace. There's a couple you can still see part of a foundation. But what actually happened was that the Ozarks, down in the southern part of the state, their economy was so far behind ours, and they lived. Well, like I said, their economy was just not up with our area up here. People had more money. We had better land, bigger fields. Down there, a 15-acre field of corn is huge, and up here we could have 200 and 300 acres or more. And our crop production outpaced these little mills back in the late 20s, and by the 30s, all our grain was being shipped to Chicago, St. Louis, Kansas City by rail. And get down in the Ozarks, and they were still living, they were like in the 1880s, at the time we were in the 30s. A lot of their mills were still running into the early 60s. There was one that was running as late as 1970. So people were still taking their little amounts of grain and having cornmeal ground. And again, they didn't have as big of towns and communities. Gold Meadow and Pillsbury and I can't think of all the big ones. General Mills, they were already producing, flour. And the bigger cities like Boonville around here, you could go to the store and buy your flour. It was just a whole different ball game up here. But our mills disappeared before World War II, and then when World War II hit, all the equipment that was still laying around went in on the scrap drives and was destroyed. So to find a mill up in our area with all the equipment is just unheard of. And down south, they weren't going to put their equipment into the scrap drives because they were still using it right on up to the 60s. So yeah, this is a very rare item to have in this part of the country. It's really the only one of its kind, really, between St. Louis and Kansas City in the central part of the state, or even the northern part for that part of it. So it's really kind of rare. So the thing of it is, we have to move it. It has to be moved. The landowner wants it gone, and there was a chance of it being dozed under.
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah, so I got ownership of it for the Missouri River Valley Steam Engine Association, and they all said I was crazy. And in September, I poured concrete. I've got the concrete basement poured that's going on. And then the rest of the club started taking me serious. So I'm getting more backing now. Since September, this has just really blossomed. I now have a small crew of people that have joined up to help me. It's not a one-guy show anymore. So we're making progress. We're getting donations of money. We're getting some grant money, not big ones, but enough that it's working and it's going to happen. So, but yeah, if you want to take a look around next week, we're going to work 2 days this coming week, and we're going to be tearing a hole in the wall of the building here. We're going to be taking these 2 roller mills and the flour packer out. We're going to put a hole right back in that area and take them out, get a big boom truck in here to lift them out.
Oh, wow.
And that's like stuff Mary and I loaded this morning. We're going to take it over to steam engine grounds. I've got a big 40-foot shipping container we bought to store stuff in.
It is, but after seeing what some of the landowners do with the White River,
This is awesome. Is there any boards I need to be careful of?
Nothing up here, really, until, of course, you can walk around over this way. Then it starts getting treacherous back here. This is the old crane that picked the stones up. And the metal hardware I've got at home, it's an item that people steal because they're very rare and valuable. So some items I've taken home and getting in storage. That's a pretty rare one-of-a-kind roller mill. We haven't found any others like it yet. We found a newspaper advertisement from 1887 showing one like it. And that's the base stone down there for the 42s. It's set right over here in this curved area. And there would have been another beam on the other side. There had been a square network of beams for that stone to set on. That'll all have to be rebuilt. But the bottom stone sat in there and didn't turn. It was stationary, and then this runner stone was on top, and it's the one that actually turned.
yeah, we had shot just about all of them, I thought.
But this was changed around in 1891 when they took the set of 48-inch stones were in this area. And of course it's gone now. In these openings you see there was a big pulley right down below, and a big belt run from the basement all the way up through that slot there and went up to a pulley upstairs and ran the upper line shaft.
Wow.
And we can go down there and underneath,
Okay.
too. So
I'll just follow you.
I'll open this up here. Let me grab my flashlight, please.
Oh,
Found these things at Home Depot in 3-packs, and it's been the greatest thing because I'd be in here trying to work with a little flashlight, and you couldn't work and hold the flashlight to the top floor.
I get vertigo.
And this framework you're seeing down here is another unique item about this mill that you don't see a lot in Missouri mills. This is called a Hurst frame. And if you can kind of imagine, now there'd have been a beam sticking down here, there'd have been one coming over, one in that slot. The same framework you see here, there'd been another duplicate right here of it. And that stone would have set on this beam, this one, and this one. But this framework, when you stand there here and look at it, you kind of get a sense that it looks like it was built separate from the building. And it was. A Hurst frame, the purpose of it, it was built to hold them stones, and a Hurst frame never touched the rest of the building. The flooring and everything up there would have had a small gap, and this would have been totally self-supporting, not touching the building, because them stones set up such a vibration that it would back the wooden pegs out of the rest of the building and shake it apart. So having, you know, one still exist with a Hurst frame like this is really neat. And you will only see a Hurst frame when you have the big stones. Now, like Joe Bob's Mill Topaz, he's got what was called a portable set of stones. It's got like 4 big wooden posts. It's a self-contained unit with the millstones in it, and they ran a belt to it and ran it. But all they had to do if they wanted was unhook the belt, and they could have moved that whole set of stones and taken it to another building.
Yeah.
But when you have freestanding stones like this, is more when you'll see a Hurst frame.
Okay.
So yeah, this is a real neat example. It's pretty cool having the Hurst frame with it. And yes, and back in here is the granary. And this granary is divided into 4 sections. You can see the first section here. It's got a sloped wall in there. It's sloped all directions. And there are 4 compartments in this so that people could, I guess, dump wheat in one, maybe barley or oats or corn, whatever. And then on the other side, there was little trap doors you'd open.
Yeah.
And that's the main elevator there that took the grain out of the granary and took it all the way to the top floor to the seed cleaner.
Oh, wow.
And most of this equipment, as you can see from that, came from the A.K. Halteman Company. It's on the bottom of all these elevators. Actually, the furniture for the millstone we've got loaded in the truck right now, but it's got that real plane on it where you can see it good.
Yeah, I got a close-up of that. Oh, wow.
And yeah, just you see where some of the foundation started to fall there. A lot of it was in bad shape. The gentleman back in the 70s, late 70s, actually rebuilt a bunch of the foundation. The other corner over there had a bad spot they really built up. And they patched on it is what they did in places to keep it, you know, keep the building from collapsing.
Yeah.
There's still stuff buried in here. I have no idea what we're going to find, but that shaft right there goes back underneath. That's the, I figured was the shaft that ran the set of 48-inch stones.
Yeah.
He didn't throw anything away. He took that 48-inch set of stones out in 1891, but he kept the stones. The shaft is here. There's a lot of stuff to operate it. So I think he thought that, well, maybe someday we may need it again. So, but yeah, when I get all this stuff out of here, I'm going to come in and carefully try to excavate all this and metal detect it and see if there's anything that, you know, we're missing. That's like this elevator. I'm hoping that the gear for it is underneath the dirt there. This elevator was the one that was running the last set of stones, and it was just, it didn't run through all the cleaners upstairs or anything. It just actually the stone turned and dumped the grain in this side here. It just or the cornmeal dumped it in here, and the elevator took it up and dumped it out over there. That was where they set a bag. They'd set a bag there and they'd run it out that side. So it just basically turned in a circle and just took the cornmeal, dumped it in a bag. And so hoping the rest of the parts of it are underground, and the woodwork, we can rebuild all of it. But yeah, until last week, you had to duck through here, and most everybody'd forget and walk through and it'd hit their head because this pulley was sitting right here. So got all that down, and these bearings, it was so cool to me to be taking this stuff apart because I knew the last guy that touched them, that bolted them in place, would have been 135 years ago. And so it was really kind of neat, and the bolts, everything come apart just perfectly.
Yeah.
It was really good steel. So, and this old tank here was a water holding tank that they used when they had the gas engine run. They put a gas engine in around 1915 or 17, and we're pretty sure this tank was brought in. They pumped water out of the creek and would fill this tank up and use it to cool the engine.
Okay.
The mill, and that's
Oh, wow.
a steam engine that he bought to put in here. It's not the original. It's an Erie Iron Works steam engine.
Oh, that is so cool.
And like I said, they put a gas engine in around 1915 to 17, and it sat here on this, what's left of this piece of concrete. And I know the engine sat there because when I was 10 years old, my uncle bought this engine, and I was down here as a kid when we pulled all the timber stuff off of it and got it out. And he eventually sold it, and a guy in Kansas owns it now, and it's a one-of-a-kind engine. It was only one built, a 25 horsepower Bauer, built in Kansas City. The Bauer company built that 25 and never built another one, and then they went out of business. So I'd like to try to get it back for the mill, but I haven't talked to the guy personally yet, but I've had friends that have talked to him, and he don't want to part with it. So whether I'll ever get it back with the mill or not, I don't know.
Oh, wow.
These stones here, you can really see it better on the 148 that's upstairs, but this is called a segmented stone. It's not one piece. Here's one of the lines here, a line here, here. They were made in pieces and shipped over here from France in pieces where they could handle them. They used them for ballast in the bottom of ships. And then when the ship went back, they'd use iron ore or lumber from over here as ballast on the return trip. But they'd bring them in pieces, then they'd mortar them together, and they'd put these steel bands around them to hold them together. But you'll even see one-piece stones that have bands around them because they were dangerous. Even if a stone had a fracture in it, they'd run at a fast enough speed, and being that big, if they ever broke, the stone would go outside of the building, a piece of it would, or people were killed that way. So usually they have stone or steel bands around them if they can, for safety too, as well as holding it together. But that's a type of granite that has a large amount of quartz in it, and they're called French burr stones. And anytime you see a segmented stone, it's definitely from France.
Oh, wow.
You say it's such an ordeal to get them over here too, you know. Somebody had to, usually they would have a salesman would travel over there and buy stuff and bring it back. Have it shipped back, you know. It'd be like a 2-month ordeal to go over there and buy things and then bring it back. So, but bigger companies like AK Halteman had, you know, they were buying stuff and getting it shipped over enough that it was making it a little easier for people here in Missouri who weren't far from St. Louis or Chicago.
Nice.
And there used to be a sawmill out to the side too, and it's been gone for many years. But they actually ran a sawmill off the same engine. They actually put a sawmill up first here and used it to cut all the timbers to build the mill. And a lot of these timbers we're going to have to redo. That one is rotted so bad on the bottom. We're going to be replacing it. That one's rotted on the bottom. We've got a list already, and we've got a company that's going to be cutting all those for us. And
Nice.
so I've got an Amish crew that's going to actually handle helping me move it.
They are so good
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
their carpentry work.
Oh yeah, and Sam's a great guy, and he's going to be a lifesaver for me.
Nice.
And originally this engine room was so tall because the original steam engine that ran this in 1868 was salvaged off a riverboat that sank in the Missouri River near Boonville.
Mm-hmm.
And the old riverboat steam engines, if you ever see them like up at this Steamboat Arabia Museum, this one that ran this had a 16-foot flywheel. So I assume that that opening there was probably the opening for the original shaft that went from the steam engine in. And it, of course, that would have been the center. That would have been 8 foot down and 8 foot up for the big flywheel. So they probably would have had a trough dug in the ground here for the bottom part of the flywheel to run in. And that's my suspicion. We first thought that where that's been patched might have been the original opening, but if so, they would have had to had at least a 6 foot hole dug in the ground under it, because that would have been the center of 16 foot.
Yeah.
So I really feel like it was probably, somewhere higher. I don't know. There's several places that have been patched, so we really don't know where the original opening was. But yeah, it would have been pretty massive. And then that steam engine come apart at one time, the governor walked up on it, and that flywheel disintegrated.
Oh,
That big
wow.
16-foot flywheel, and part of it went out the side of the building here, and there was another shed over here that had the boiler in it for the steam engine and a big smokestack, and it actually hit that and took that smokestack down.
Oh, wow.
And that's another thing about mills, they always have the boilers, any fire outside away from the building, because they're so explosive, having flour dust that'll explode. And so usually they didn't have heat, they never had wood stoves in them, anything that would cause a flame.
Yeah.
Didn't
Almost there.
realize that. Huh. Wow.
And I've started disassembling some things up here, but you can still get a good feel of,
Oh, there's railings.
there's a lot of neat equipment up here.
I thought you guys were up there, that's why I sent you nothing.
And, that's where the flour bin was, I removed it. And, I get nervous on ladders, and I had to have a ladder right at the edge of that hole the other day. Up there trying to take the tops off these elevators. This is one of them I just took off.
Oh my God.
I have to get the top off all them elevators because that shaft up there with the pulleys and gears on it lifts up out the top. And so I have to take the top off of every one so that we can get that shaft out. And so yeah, and my ladder, I got up, started to go up at once, and I felt it. I thought it kind of slipped and flipped in, and about that much was sticking over the opening there. And some of them carried the big boards up and made me an extra safe pad.
Oh, yeah.
I thought at least if I do fall, we'll go all the way down.
Exactly. You get the better stop and not the bad stop.
Yeah.
That's.
The old workbench there looks pretty, like it's been well used, and Mr. Dick, Adolph Dick, that owned the place, they said him and his brother could fix anything. And that was another little sideline they had, was people would bring stuff here for them to work on.
Oh, really?
And I guess and of course they did a lot, had to repair, all this equipment would need work and repair, so that was a little workshop area. But they actually, kind of surprised me that people brought a lot of stuff for him to work on, because right across the road was a blacksmith shop at one time. There eventually was a blacksmith shop, and that shed you see over there,
Yeah.
it has a lean-to added on the north side here, but the main little tall structure was the original general store that was here.
Oh, wow.
Mike Tuttle owns the place, or he many years ago put town on it and added a lean-to on the side and made a little barn or shed out of it. But that's the only thing, well, I'll say the only thing left. That's the general store. And then on top of the hill, yeah, you can't see it from here. If you go up to the top of that hill, right before you get up there, there's an old house I can barely see here, but on the left side of the road, back behind that house, a little white building, and there's a sign on it, but it was the 1881 Dix Mill Schoolhouse.
Oh, wow.
And so it's still there. It's rough, but it's salvageable, and I got the owner of it to donate it to us now. We'll be taking it eventually with the mill and setting it up beside the church on our showgrounds. We got a church we moved there too from 1870.
Oh, wow.
So then we have 2 log cabins, and
Wow.
so we get the mill and the schoolhouse. We're going to name that little area of our grounds Dix Mill Community to kind of honor this area.
Oh, that is awesome.
So,
Yeah, there's a lot of people don't realize how much that goes into saving these things.
oh yeah, I don't think I've realized it yet.
Yeah.
I'm going to find out.
Oh, yeah, yeah, there is a lot to this. This one is, every one of them's different. Every one of them's got some little differences and some major
Yeah.
differences. This one has got, there is a lot of big timber in here.
Oh yeah, and it's kind of
It's got a substantial inner frame.
It's kind of mind-boggling thinking about moving it, and I didn't really even think about it when I fought for ownership of it. The guy told me they were going to be tearing it, it's probably going to get dozed, and I said, I just instantly said, is there any way you can donate it to us? He said, well, I'll ask Nancy Martin, Tim Martin's wife, so I'll ask her and see. He said, I don't know why we couldn't. I said, see if you can, see if you can donate it to us.
Yeah.
And, that was my thoughts, get it and then we'll move it, and I had no idea what I was
Getting into.
No, it just, but I thought, no way you can lose this piece of history.
No, there's, this is, amongst other historical things, this is one of those history things that needs to be saved,
Yeah.
and there's, some people don't like stuff being moved from original places, they don't realize
Well,
the
yeah,
cost that
yeah.
it takes.
And I really don't like the idea of moving it either. It's such a beautiful little location here. It'd be so neat if a person could restore this little area down here, but,
It's hard to get people to go out.
yeah, get people down here and
Support it.
people having trouble with vandals down here. and
Oh,
things like
God,
that.
yeah.
So, have you guys been in a mill anywhere with equipment like this in it?
It doesn't have an abundance of the original equipment in it.
Okay, because there's one up in Illinois, Franklin Grove, Illinois, that's a totally new mill, and they use some stuff left from an old mill. But really, the only piece of equipment in it that they have that runs is a set of stones, so they can run that.
Right.
If you can get the Dillard Mill, I don't know if you've been to Dillard.
Oh, yeah, love it.
Okay.
But I've not got to do the
Didn't get to
tour.
see it run?
No.
Okay. If you can get in there, the lady there, very knowledgeable about the mill. She's, can tell you a lot about them. Everything in that mill runs. That is our goal for this one, to have everything running. Because the neat thing about a mill, and even Topaz would have been that way in the beginning, when you engage the clutch on the steam engine or gas engine or water wheel, whatever ran it, when you engaged that clutch, every piece of equipment in the mill ran at the same time. Everything except the flour packer. And the reason being, why everything ran is because of the chance of clogging things up. You didn't want to have one piece of equipment shut off, or if one of them was shut off and grain come out of another and run into it and clogged it up, you'd have a mess. So it was set up that when you engaged it, your auger in your granary was running. They'd go down, they'd open up a trap door, grain would run in, and that auger and go to the main elevator, which is that one right over there, goes all the way to the basement. And from it, on the other side, you can see a chute running out. It'd bring the grain up, it would dump it into that piece of equipment back in the corner you see up there high.
Yeah.
That's a seed cleaner and a smudder that would clean the smut off of wheat. And from there, it'd run out the bottom of that, would go down to the roller mills to be ground. Then it would come back up a different elevator and come to some of these pieces of equipment. But everything, once you had the process in motion, that stuff just kept going from one piece of equipment to the other and back down to the rollers for a second time, sometimes a third time, but it'd all run back and forth till they had the consistency of flour they wanted. And at that point, it would run down along the chute, actually this one right here that I've taken out, and it would run down into that flour mill that had real steep sides on it. And when that flour bin was full, then they would go downstairs, and the flour packers down there actually had a lever where you could engage the gear on it and start it running. Because once it was full, then you'd go down and operate flour packer and pack your bags. And then when you emptied the flour bin, they'd disengage that gear and then go back to running everything else. So if you can get, there's a car coming by.
Oh, God. I thought it was rain or something.
They fly by here with the gravel road here, it's pretty noisy. But, if you can ever get down to Dillard Mill and watch it, everything runs, and you know, and like I was showing some people the other day, just like this piece of equipment, there are 2 round reels in it that turn, but then each one of these little shafts here are actually on an eccentric, so that they're doing like that.
Yeah.
So it's running, both of those reels are shaking back and forth while they're turning. And it's just, you know, when you have all the chains, well, you know, the belts,
gosh, I
and then like, see, there's a chain from here to here. Every piece of equipment had chains and belts.
Right.
And you know, you would just, you'll see stuff just running everywhere. It's an OSHA nightmare. You know?
No guards, no covers, no safety,
Yeah.
no lockout, no tag out. No.
Yeah, be a scary place for little kids or a dog with a long tail, because yeah, everything's running. And it's so impressive to see all that stuff running at once, and it's just amazing. So that's the goal. All this equipment was exposed when the roof was bad. It's got a lot of rot on top of each piece. We're gonna take each piece, till we restore them, a lot of new wood built on them.
Yeah.
Will they ever run flour in them again? No, but I wanna have it capable so that everything can run.
Yeah, so you can see it actually, folks can actually see it
Yeah,
function.
and like look in the bottom, them wood augers down there with the little wood paddles, that would auger the flour over into this chute here, which would then, you know, drop down below, you know, to another place, to another elevator or whatever. So, it's just, it's amazing to see all that stuff running.
I've always wondered that too, whenever you see one and it's all set up and you have all the chutes and you've got the belts, feeds and the,
Yeah.
and the machinery, and then watch that synchronicity of movement.
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah, pretty
a
cool.
lot of power. That's that marrying and joining of man and nature to build something, because everyone's unique or built to
Oh,
the
yeah.
terrain and environment, or has the different individual touches of
Yeah.
the folks that built it or the companies that built it.
Right, and we found some interesting things in this mill that I've never seen in any others. A couple of things I've already dismantled.
Right.
One thing to watch your head in here. This is actually a chute that took just regular trash, chaff and stuff from
Yeah.
the seat cleaner and blew it upside of the building.
Oh wow! So this is the chaff chute.
Yeah, and it's a pain to get up there. If you get up on top though, you can see that there's 2 different sifters up there with screens in them up there, and the 2 worked, you know, and separated the bigger stuff and the smaller stuff. And the top screen you can see runs into a little wooden chute that runs down right here, and they probably just set a bucket under that or something. And that caught one batch of, you know, it might have been a byproduct that they could have used for animal feed or something.
Right.
So they saved it, obviously. Like I say, the real trash blew out here, but the stuff that fell through the next screen come down and then would come over into this piece and into this, and this is what they call the smother part of it. So it's a seed cleaner and a smother combined. And I wish the door was still here on it. Some people over the years come in and stole a lot of the doors and such off this equipment because it had the old fancy
Right.
writing on it.
Yeah.
And so a lot of that stuff is gone. I should be able to hopefully rebuild and find copies of one close where we can even recreate the stenciling back on it.
Right. There's still some on some of this old equipment. Sometimes is there like some of the old buying guides where they bought the equipment from the
Yeah.
different companies and.
Yeah, yeah, and there's literature out there and stuff that we can, you know, copy. I feel like to redo that stuff. I know there's some printing on the back of it up here too.
Yep,
Yeah,
there's some right there.
But the little doors themselves have been taken off.
Definitely, these poor old mills are always so endangered, and
Yeah,
they're just, my gosh, especially Ozark Mills. And I thought I had heard of the names of all the Ozark Mills, and so when we stumbled across the, Dick's Mill, I was like, I hadn't heard of that one.
Yeah.
I'm like,
oh yeah.
what in the heck? Yeah.
It's really been, you know, in an area where there was no tourist, people didn't really ever see it. It was actually offered back when I got it. They had offered it to the DNR, and the DNR wouldn't take it. because they said, well, there's nothing here for tourists to do. We won't be able to get people down here. You know, they just said it's, you know, if it was on the current river or something, they would have grabbed it. But, you know, up here it's just,
Well, this is beautiful.
yeah, it's a real time capsule. Here's that, I've got a board screwed over it right now so people can follow it, but that is the opening where that belt went all the way to the basement.
Oh, wow.
And then came up and ran this pulley here that's got part of it rotted and broke away and gone. Nancy Martin, though, has some, I think she's got a pulley that size at her house. Jim, her husband, was gathering up stuff that he was gonna need to restore the mill. And Nancy, when I first got a hold of this mill, she was, I could tell, very skeptical. She signed the papers to give us ownership of it. But, you know, here I'm a new guy coming in. They had owned it for 50 years and tried to protect it, and they saved it. And so a new guy comes along, and she was, I could tell, just a little skeptical, and I'm sure she probably thought they'll never get it moved. You know, 2 years from now, they're probably gonna be selling off all this stuff. So she kind of kept a few things there, you know, that didn't really go with the mill, but stuff that Jim had bought to, you know, to help restore it. And after we got the concrete poured at the grounds, she come to the steam engine show this year with her daughters. They went back here and looked at it and saw where the mill is going to be, and it really got it through to them that, wow, this really is going to happen. And I talked to her then and since, and we had an open house here in October. She came to, whole different person now. She is really lit up. She's very supportive. It's just like we're old friends now. But she sees it's really going to happen. She knows I'm serious, and now she's all for us. So really kind of neat how it come around.
Can I get a close-up of your picture, or your shirt?
Yeah.
I love that. I did a singular image for Paydown.
Love
Mill
that.
Ah, okay.
with the Marys County Historical Society.
Yeah.
Hoping that someone up that way would kick off something to save that. This is incredible. This was, and when you reached out and said, "Hey, you know, if you want to come and," I'm like, "Dude, we got to figure this out."
Right.
And
Well, you know, again, every bit of publicity, and then plus, you know, like Jim Vebrock done a video on it. I don't know if you saw it.
yeah,
Okay, you know, I want to keep all that stuff when we get this thing moved and get it set up. I want to have a, you know, and I am going to put electricity in it down there. You know, we're going to have electricity and
Right.
possibly even some kind of heat, because I want to be able to give tours in the wintertime, all year long. I want to have schools, if schools want to bring classes, you know.
yeah.
So I'm going to have electricity and things like that, but I would like to have it set up to where, you know, people, if they want to watch any videos that people have done, a guy in our club's working on a little video he done right
Oh,
now.
awesome.
Every video I've seen of other mills, you learn something from every one. You guys will see something that Jim Vebrock didn't see.
Right.
You know, my knowledge has changed a lot since Jim done that video. I look at that now and I'm like, oh my goodness, I didn't know this, I didn't know that. You know, I keep learning more things about it, and you know, so a year from now we can make a heck of a video. So.
Oh yeah, yeah, and just
But,
grab pieces and go. You know, this is where it all began. And,
Yeah.
you know, you got good. Oh, I love the belt piece always.
That's a buffalo hide.
Really?
That's how thick it is.
Oh my lord.
Yeah, there's 2 of them in here that are still the original buffalo hide, and then a couple of the others were changed over to canvas. So,
I've never seen one with buffalo hide.
yeah, pretty
Never.
cool.
There's always been, all the ones I've ever seen were canvas.
Yeah, right. So, yeah, that's another little neat thing I've never seen anywhere else either. So,
It worked. It didn't break, so they
Yeah.
didn't fix it and change
Yeah.
it. That's
every mill you will see so many similarities, but you'll find 2 or 3 little things that are different than any other mill. You know, that's the neat thing why people like to tour them, is no 2 are alike. So,
Yeah, I had one of my kids ask, well, you guys have went and visited a whole bunch of mills. What? When you've seen one, you've seen them all. I'm like, no, this
Not
is
at all.
this is not. No,
Yeah.
they're like potato chips. They're all different.
oh yeah.
Bob,
Exactly.
thank you so much.
Thank you guys. I'm so proud you showed up here. Like I said, we're not typically Ozarks, and we get overlooked, but we are in the Ozarks.
Yeah.
And you know, there's fancier, bigger mills than this, but it was very important for this area. And again, it's the only one between St. Louis and Kansas City and all of central and northern Missouri. The only other northern mill that's a must-see was they did do a little bit of grist mill work, a little bit of sawmill work, but it's a woolen mill. Watkins Woolen Mill.
Yeah.
Watkins Mill.
Have you
Yeah.
been there?
Yes, a long time
Yeah.
ago. I need to update my portfolio and get some more pictures of that
All
one.
of
Though,
that
'cause-
they've got some rare equipment, and that thing is huge. But and again, their grist mill that they ran in it was like Joe Bob's. It was a little portable that could be moved around.
Yeah.
So again, finding a mill like this with the set in the 4 stones, the stationary, non-movable ones, that's kind of rare. And then the Hearst frame and all that, it's rare. So Dick's Mill is really, should be more on the map than it is. And I'm working to do that.
Yeah, well, that is great.
Like
Well, you're doing a great job.
Well,
I mean, if we stumbled on you and then you stumbled on us, then you're doing something right. So.
Well, hopefully, and I think that's the name of the game: make everybody aware of what's going on and the publicity, and get it out there. And like I've told people, I have a lot of little tours. People call up and come through, and and I tell them, I said, they say, well, do you mind? I hope you don't mind us. I tell them, I said, no, anybody wants to come see this thing, I'm going to walk them through it and show it, because I'm waiting for that 1 millionaire to walk through.
Yes, yes.
But we've got, right now I've got all concrete work done. We've got a lot accomplished. As of today, I'm at, I think, 43,000. I have clear right now. I can't tell you how much I've raised altogether when you figure like concrete donated and the roofing material is going to be donated. A lot of labor we've had donated, all the excavating work. And like I said, I just found out 2 days ago I'm getting a $15,000 grant from a company that I can't announce it online yet. They're going to do their own publicity thing and have a little ceremony possibly here where they present the check and all that. And so that'll no doubt urge other companies to do the same. So that I needed 50,000 to start moving the building, and I've got that now. Nice. So I'm actually a little beyond it. Our Steam Engine Association has decided. I finally won them over. I'm a board member.
Oh wow!
But the rest of the board members thought I was nuts, and most of them hadn't even seen this. A lot of them still haven't. Our president didn't see it till 2 months ago. I've had it for 2 years, and the president of our club hadn't even seen it.
Oh my
but
Lord.
They thought I was nuts, and a lot of them are more into tractors or horses or whatever. So this was something they weren't used to, and I'd been touring mills for years, so I knew what we had. But anyway, finally one of our older members that knew what we had toured it here a while back, and he came to a board meeting and he said, "Look, guys, you all need to wake up and see what Bob's got here."
Yeah.
Said this is a treasure. They said only like 2 steam engine shows in the United States have a mill on their site, and one of them is a fake one. And he woke them up. So they stepped up, and they've agreed now to put in 20,000 when I need it for this year.
Oh, fantastic.
And so they're waking up. So just since September, things have really broken loose. Like I said, I was the loneliest guy on earth for 1.5 years.
Oh, man.
And now I've got people helping. I've got 2 guys. I've got Ramey Dirt Works out of Sedalia, Robbie Ramey, and then Greg Minix of Mira Excavating down at Loose Creek. They've been helping me, donating. Ramey Dirt Works brought up 4 loads of 1-inch clean gravel, which is expensive.
Yeah.
For doing around a drain tile in the basement. They've done a lot of backfilling work, and they're going to bring equipment here to help move it. Greg Minix brought his big service truck up now and got every piece of equipment we need on it. And we're going to open up this coming week. We're going to open up that side of the wall there.
Oh wow!
And reach in here.
So we barely made it in on time.
His service truck has a 30-foot extendable boom that'll lift 10,000 pounds. So we're going to bring it in through here. He's the one helping me get this up on skids. We got to do the other one, but then we're going to get in here and pick them up and take them out and load them on trailers.
Oh wow!
Same with this. It is unreal how heavy that thing is.
This concludes our video on our trip to Dick's Mill in Little Cotton, Missouri. Thank you, Bob Painter, for everything that you are doing to help save this piece of history that is just a phenomenal part of early Americana. This is so important that these places get saved. We always talk about, oh, gee, I wish someone would save this or save that building. It takes money, folks. It takes money, time, and determination. Bob, it seems, has mastered this, or it appears to be so, as he is looking for those grants and those funds to continue carry on, plus getting private donations. That is so important. And we are very blessed and pleased that we were asked to come up there and do a video, spend some time and take some pictures. I will have some of my art photography pictures that I will post on the page later. I want to thank everybody that stuck through this video and watched to the end. Also, reached out to Bob Painter and help support that project if you can. Thank you all, folks, and we'll see you again on Travel the Ozarks.